In the case of X versus Union of India, the Supreme Court of India declined permission for a woman seeking to terminate her 26-week pregnancy, stating it fell outside the scope of the Medical Termination of Pregnancy (MTP) Act, 1971. The court permitted termination beyond 24 weeks only in cases of substantial fetal abnormality or direct threat to the woman's life. The judgment raised concerns by not addressing the fetus's moral status or legal standing, potentially prioritizing fetal rights over a woman's right to privacy and dignity. The ruling contradicts the court's previous stance on women's reproductive choices and fails to clarify the MTP Act's role as an enabling legislation.
The article discusses the evolving landscape of AI regulation, focusing on intellectual property, IP, rights and AI-generated content. The U.S. District Court rejected a copyright application for art created autonomously by an AI system, stating human creativity was essential for copyright protection, aligning with the U.S. Copyright Office's stance. In contrast, India's Copyright Office registered AI-generated art in 2020, deviating from human-centric copyright laws. The article emphasizes the need for cautious IP extension to AI-generated work, citing potential adverse effects on society and the startup ecosystem, urging policymakers and courts to adopt a prudent approach in this evolving domain.
The recent alert from Apple, indicating that over a dozen opposition leaders and journalists faced potential targeting by state-sponsored attackers, raises concerns of a repeat of the Pegasus spyware episode. In 2022, Pegasus, developed by Israel-based NSO Group, was used globally for surveillance purposes. While India's Supreme Court found no conclusive evidence on 29 phones examined, it noted the government's lack of cooperation. Apple's warning emphasizes the need for an independent investigation, urging the government's transparency regarding dealings with NSO. It calls for stringent measures and cooperation, echoing actions taken by Western governments in response to similar threats.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to unveil the Vision India at 2047 plan, aiming to transform the country into a developed nation with a $30 trillion economy by its 100th independence anniversary in 2047. The plan, in development for 2 years, involves collaboration with top minds, including World Bank President Ajay Banga and Apple Chief Tim Cook, to refine its goals. Focused on minimizing government intervention, addressing challenges in factor markets, and ensuring policy certainty, the plan aims to prevent India from falling into a middle-income trap. It emphasizes shifting the economy from agriculture to manufacturing and tackling income inequality, with a flexible approach to adapt to evolving global trends.
The article emphasizes the futility of revenge in the face of conflict and terrorism, arguing that it creates a vicious cycle of violence and does not provide lasting solutions. The author highlights the importance of restraint, empathy, and dialogue in resolving conflicts and preventing further escalation of violence. Drawing on historical examples and the philosophy of nonviolence advocated by figures like Mahatma Gandhi, the article underscores the need for effective administration, equanimity, and a civilized approach in handling complex situations, rather than resorting to disproportionate retaliation, which only leads to more collateral damage and perpetuates animosity.
The AIADMK, after ending its alliance with the BJP, is making efforts to win over religious minorities, especially Muslims, ahead of the upcoming Lok Sabha elections. The party, led by General Secretary Edappadi K. Palaniswamy, demanded the release of long-time Muslim prisoners in the assembly, signaling its identification with the minority community. While the AIADMK's decision to sever ties with the BJP has been appreciated by some, there is a consensus within the party that it needs a formidable alliance akin to Jayalalitha's strategy in the 2011 assembly elections to secure victory in future elections. The party also aims to reassure minorities of its opposition to the BJP.
Data published by the Association of Democratic Reforms, ADR, shows that the share of unknown sources of income for national political parties in India has increased after the introduction of electoral bonds, contrary to the government's claim of transparency. The ADR data reveals that the share of income from unknown sources rose from 66% in FY15, FY17 to 72% in FY19, FY22. The BJP's share of unknown income increased from 58% to 68%, while Congress consistently hovered around 80%. Electoral bonds accounted for 58% of national parties' total incomes and 81% of their total income from unknown sources in the FY19, FY22 period.
The article examines the historical origins of U.S Israel ties and the current status of their relationship. The U.S. has been a strong supporter of Israel, offering financial, military, and political support. The roots of this alliance can be traced back to the early 20th century when the U.S. supported the idea of a Jewish homeland. The U.S. was the first country to recognize Israel in 1948, and since then, their relationship has evolved. The turning point came in 1967 when Israel's victory in the Six-Day War against Arab states shifted the perception of Israel as a stable ally against Soviet influence in the region. Currently, the U.S. remains a steadfast ally to Israel, providing unconditional support despite international criticism of Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories. The article also highlights the recent events, including President Joe Biden's visit to Israel and the ongoing conflict with Hamas.
The article discusses the experiences of Palestinian writers living under occupation and their reflections on the ongoing conflict. Palestinian writer Adania Shiblis' novel, Minor Detail, explores a historical incident of violence during the Nakba and a woman's quest to uncover the truth. The novel was recognized with the 2023 Liberator Prize, but the author's felicitation at the Frankfurt Book Fair was postponed due to the recent Hamas-Israel flare-up. The article raises questions about the role of literature in times of conflict and highlights other works that document Palestinian experiences of dispossession and life under occupation. It emphasizes the complexities of memory and the challenges faced by Palestinians in reclaiming their history.